This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
KFAN welcomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra for two amazing shows at Target Center, December 28th at 3 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now. Get complete show details, including a link to buy tickets at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Hey, Nordo, APA, hopefully you're listening on the plane. I've seen a lot of people say over social media that KOC's plays are taking too long to develop. Is that something you're seeing as well? And is that something he can maybe try to fix moving forward? Or how hasn't he fixed it yet, during the game? Just kind of want your thoughts on that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the talkback, free iHeartRadio app. And in the opening segment, that's kind of what I'm alluding to from an adjustment standpoint, is we watched what Rodgers and the Steelers were able to do with in-game specific changes where 2 steps, it's out, 2 steps, it's out. And how can we adjust given the absolute malaise that we're watching with the Minnesota Moving Company health-wise right now? And then really that kind of transitions into depth. And what are you expecting from backups, right? The idea you can't, Micah Parsons comes off the field for our hated rivals. Can you expect that guy that comes in can make the difference that he can? I think that would be ludicrous to say that. That's why Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. Now, I don't know if Brian O'Neill at this stage of his career is the Micah Parsons of offensive linemen, so it's not necessarily completely equal and analogous, but to the idea that the backup behind him can I get 80%? Can I get 70%? Wouldn't mind that. It's Michael Juergens' thing. They were excited about him. They identified him, they drafted him, and have kept him around with competition potentially in the mix, with opportunities via free agency, etc. We are excited about developing Michael Juergens. Now I'm getting to see him. And it's not good enough. We saw what School did on the right side yesterday. We saw what he did on the left side for 2 games to start the season. That is almost criminal. And we saw Joe Huber yesterday. Didn't expect to see the former Badger in the mix, but we saw Joe Huber playing snaps in an NFL game. So the adjustment that needs to take place, 2 steps out, 2 steps out. Can we make that adjustment? That's on the team. From you can't fix the health thing. You can fix the penalty, the undisciplined thing, and maybe you can fix the process offensively from an execution standpoint.
If this offensive line doesn't get healthy and doesn't improve once healthy, there's no way you can put the kid QB back in there. I mean, he'll be running for his life, could create bad habits, could start seeing ghosts. I mean, I just feel like if this line doesn't improve, you got to keep Wentz in there to protect your investment in J.J. McCarthy.
So everybody wants to play. I get the sentiment there too. It's a catch-22. Kid absolutely needs reps. Now, I'm not saying that Marshall's finest would have ever. Why am I completely blanking on the NDSU cat? Trey Lance, I'm sorry. Go Marshall Tigers. But I'm not saying that with more consistent reps that he would have found himself into consummate rising star, budding superstar level territory. But it is an example of somebody that was highly touted, super talented, good kid, that couldn't find his way onto the field. Injured early and really just out of the mix. So limited opportunities for snaps just from a basic standpoint over the course of like a 2.5-3 year period. And it's really stunted and maybe even potentially ruined the trajectory of his career. So the catch-22 here is that I agree with that sentiment. But the kid needs to play. because we need to know what that investment looks like. We have no idea. There's no measured substance value to J.J. McCarthy until we get more games under his belt. The catch-22, of course, is that the O-line at this point is completely untrustworthy in totality. And then the other end, if I'm Carson Wentz, I'm sitting here, hold on. You know, I want to play. I want to win games here. I don't want to be the sacrificial lamb. And what those conversations would potentially look like behind the scenes. Talkbacks.
Hey, Nordo, Brad from Rochester. Love the show. Long-time listener.
Well, thank you.
Is there an option at the trade deadline for the Vikings in terms of this disease-injured offensive line? Thank you.
I'll admit, even as we've gone down this road, I have not looked at who's on the street. I would anticipate if there are moves that have to be made, and let's just look at it right now. Darisaw played the whole game, appears to be happy and healthy. We dig that. And I would anticipate even that has the ability to get better as he gets more confident in himself in the weeks to come. Donovan's going to be back. No IR or anything like that. Minor procedure. I saw somebody ask, hey, if he wasn't going to, I think he played through the injury because he couldn't worsen it, but it still sounded like something that for the sake of the long term, it's better that he get it done, versus playing an extra 14 games with said injury. But he'll be back. What's up with Ryan Kelly? Don't know. But it's problematic again. I think it's his fourth or fifth confirmed concussion in his playing career. And again, just from a human standpoint, I think there's a lot more to playing football. And when those marbles start getting bounced around up there, we have seen maybe potential issues that can arise from that. So his health comes first. And then Fries, and we still haven't heard anything. I think the MRI either took place last night on the knee of Brian O'Neill, or it took place this morning before they left for London. Haven't heard any results on that. So are they banking on guys getting healthier? Are they banking on guys getting better? I would anticipate if a move was made that it would be a trade versus man on the street. And as you mentioned, the deadline. I just haven't looked at the names yet. That doesn't, Kwesi could be having those conversations right now as we speak. Talkbacks.
Good morning, Nordo. Tom and Rosemont.
Good morning.
Just had a quick question for you. If Van Ginkel is that important to the defense, does that mean that Dallas Turner just isn't going to be that guy? Just feels like the last 3-4 years of draft picks really aren't panning out for us.
Yeah, the Van Ginkel does mean that much to the defense. And I will leave it up to all of you as listeners. It's not about trying to defend the pick. Traded some currency to move up to get Dallas Turner at 17. I've seen him. I think he's already significantly better than he was a year ago. But he's still, because of the way Flores deploys Van Ginkel, it's still, you're moving him around a bunch. He's dropping back into coverage. You're asking him to do a ton of things. I still wonder what the learning curve is. I still wonder, the age, how young he is part of this. But Van Ginkel, so simultaneously, I'm sitting on the fence saying Van Ginkel is absolutely that important to this defense and what Flores wants to do. I am not ready to dagger the career of Dallas Turner at this stage. So that's where I'm at with Dallas Turner. We need to see more. It needs to get better. But I'm not interested in just saying, yeah, that was a complete disaster of a pick. Despite the fact, as we've talked about, from a draft and personnel perspective, much has been left to be desired. Maybe one more talk back here.
Hey, this is Jack from Phoenix.
Hey.
Just wanted to ask your thoughts about the quick attack passing game, especially with the offensive line issues. You saw Aaron Rodgers getting out the ball quickly, able to avoid our blitz, but I wonder why KOC doesn't do the same thing for the Vikings side when we're having such offensive line struggles like last year with Darnold and now this year with J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz holding the ball a little too long.
Yeah, they That's part of the adjustment. Again, that's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm looking for. I am totally with you, Jack, in terms of undisciplined team, health issues, laden as this squad is. How do we adjust now? And Rodgers, if we would have played that game for 2 more quarters, he would have been more than happy to just throw that thing quickly, get it to Gainwell. The efficiency of the run played into that, the lack of tackling from this defensive group yesterday, just like it was in the Falcons game. That leads to losing football. The lack of tackling to the ball, the gang tackling. When this team is flying around like they were in the Bengals game, good luck. And that's not just because Jake Browning is playing. This defense can hang with anybody in the NFL. But whether we saw what we did in the Falcons game or what we saw on stretches yesterday, just the inability to wrap and put guys on the ground and make a 3-yard run instead of 7 or 8. Make a swing pass out of the backfield for 6 instead of 12. That first guy to the ball has to be better. So I think that is important in what we saw from our defensive side of things. Now we have to adjust because we saw how effective and how efficient it is. If this situation up front's going to persist, the 6 and 7 step drops, long play action into boots, etc. I mean, is moving the pocket an option? Some success with swing passes. Watched that a ton last night, specifically with the Packers. And I hate to compliment them. But with Eberflus's ability, he's just going to send 4. Eberflus doesn't, with the Cowboys, didn't do much with the Bears and previous stops either. He doesn't blitz a ton. He just sends 4, bat out of hell. He rotates them, moves them around on the line, sends 4, and likes playing coverage. And the ability to rush with 4, and then the adjustment the Packers made with some of these swing passes out of the backfield, whether it was Jacobs, I think it's Emmanuel. They had a ton of success last night with that, and I need to see more of that. And I'm looking for that adjustment, just like you guys are, into the Browns game on Sunday in London. A couple of interviews. The chance PA had to chat with a couple of players after yesterday's game. We'll start with Justin Jefferson. Here's Jets with PA shortly after yesterday's loss.
When they went for 4th and goal at the 3 and didn't get in, and then Jordan gets loose on the 81-yarder, I mean, they kind of put you right back in that thing, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Really just, trusting in our defense, this whole entire season. They have been making big plays for us and allowing us to, get back into the game and, still put points on the board late in the game. So, definitely kudos to them for giving us that opportunity, even late, at the end of the game, and giving us the ball back to go, either tie the game up or go win the game. So, you just gotta, those few plays that are left out there that, that are tough to get back, and that really hurts us, in those transition and in those drives. So, we just gotta find a way to, execute the whole entire game, not really hurt ourselves in those tough predicaments. But, all in all, there's definitely some great things to, take out of this game.
Yeah, and it looks like definitely, I mean, you and Jordan combined for like 240, and I mean, you're dominating the game early and really consistently too. So I like how you put that, because granted it's a loss, you don't want to take that, but, with this offense, full complement, specifically when you get these offensive linemen back, there are definitely some good things coming.
Oh, hell yeah. And you hit it right on the head, of course, we don't, we are not fazed by the injuries or different things that go on throughout the game, because we know that those stuff are going to happen, so we're always confident in the next guy up and the next person to come in and still perform the way they need to perform, and just like the starter is. So that's definitely tough, even though, we still say next man up, but the starter is the person that, we're relying on and really expecting to give out that best game. So it's definitely tough, having a couple of those guys injured on that O-line.
Last one, and greatly appreciate you, Justin. The penalties are working on the last nerve of the head coach, which means for players like you, really everybody, but I mean, game changers like you, it's like, how do they stop? I mean, they just have to stop, right?
Oh, yeah, they definitely have to stop. It's just really on ourselves, just really being dialed in and really having to understand what's going on and understanding the situation and everything. So it's definitely more on players than I would say coaching. We just got to get get the play call, get in and out of the huddle, get lined up, and make sure, we're ready to go, and, not getting those delayed games or not getting those false starts. Those are the things that kind of hurt us and put us a step backwards. So definitely got to work on those. And if we, limit those type of plays, then, we were a step ahead just in that category. So it's definitely tough, and it's definitely hard to really reflect on this type of game, especially losing by 3 points, having the chance to go tie it at the end of the game. But there's room for improvement, and we're definitely going to work our butt off this upcoming week, so we can not leave Europe 0-2.
God bless you, Justin. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you in London.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's Justin Jefferson with PA shortly after yesterday's loss. You heard him talking about those penalties, delayed games, false starts, etc. 18 pre-snap penalties through 4 games, which is the most in the NFL. To Elijah Williams yesterday, 4 tackles in the mix. Big old number 99. He chatted with PA as well shortly after the L.
Tough loss. What was it like out there going against Aaron Rodgers and that O-line?
It was just a tough game, a lot of competition. Aaron Rodgers still really good quarterback, and the O-line, they're just working together. But we just got to keep pushing.
Now, obviously, you want to win every game, but I mean, this everything for you is a new experience. Had you ever been to Europe before?
I've been to Italy one time, not for this long, but definitely Ireland is something different, something new, and I really enjoyed the experience.
So through your first 4 games, what's it been like for you? I mean, I'm not going to make it sound like this out of nowhere surprise that you made the team. I mean, shoot, you had a heck of a training camp and wonderful preseason. So you've made the squad on merit. But now that you're playing the games and everything, what's it like playing at the NFL level?
You just got to understand every day is a new day. And no matter what you did yesterday, you got to come in the next day and just continue to get better, continue to fix your mistakes so you can continue to be on the field.
When Pittsburgh late in the game decided to go for that 4th and goal from like the 3-yard line and didn't get it. I mean, you guys stopped Gainwell right in front of the goal line. I mean, it gave you guys a chance to come back and win. Then Addison gets loose from 81. Were you surprised when they went for it down there 4th and goal?
I wasn't surprised when they went for it. Sometimes teams want to just try to put your foot on your necks. We would have probably did the same thing if we were in that situation. So, our D-line did a good job, made the stop like they were supposed to. And, we had another opportunity. We're going to just continue to get better and grow from it.
So Elijah, I mean, this is kind of like a weird fanish type question, but I mean, being a rookie in the NFL and Aaron Rodgers, 41 years of age, he's played 21 years. I know you love watching football, so you've watched him play whether you like him or not. I mean, was there like a weird moment when you got in there and you're like, hey, wow, man, I'm going to try to beat you now, but wow, nice career.
It's just a crazy experience, just being on the same field or even the same team as people you watch, So me and my pops, we grew up watching Carson Wentz, and then when he was on the team, I'm like, hey, Pops, Carson Wentz is on the team. It's just like a great experience. Even though you dream of this, when you get here, it's still like, man, is this even real? Somebody pinched me. So I really enjoyed that, really enjoy the players around here, and it's just going to keep getting better.
Hey, last one for you, man. I appreciate the time, too, after a 3-point loss. Working your position and having the likes of Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, a couple of veterans who have done a lot of things. How's that helping you?
Oh, that's helped me a lot. These vets are some guys that really want to help you and really want to see you grow and prosper in this league. They've done so much, and it's just so much that you can learn from them on a day-to-day basis. And, I appreciate having those guys by my side, and they're dudes who lead by example, and that's what you want out of your vets, and that's what I got.
Defensive lineman Elijah Williams chatting with PA shortly after yesterday's 24-21 loss. Let's jump back into it next segment. Alec Lewis of The Athletic. He's over there right now. He's writing up his next big piece for The Athletic. He's going to take some time to call in and chat this thing out for 10, 15 minutes before we get to head coach PJ Fleck. And that's all happening before 11 o'clock. It's Nordowin for PA 9 to noon with a cash opportunity.
That's right. The Fan and 2 Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is money for this hour. Keyword money. KFAN.com. Keyword money.
Welcome back, Nordowin for PA 9 to noon. Team is en route to London right now after yesterday's game against the Steelers in Dublin. Joining me now, he may already be in London, but we're going to find out shortly here. Alec Lewis of The Athletic. You can follow him at Alec_Lewis via X. The Athletic, the Alec Lewis podcast via YouTube. You can see him at Buffalo Wild Wings locations for the Friday feasts. And he joins me now. How are you doing this morning via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline, Alec? What's most present in your mind about yesterday's loss from what we saw over there at Croke Park?
Yeah, Nordo, good to talk to you. I am in London. If you knew the dynamics of getting a check-in done at the Dublin airport with Aer Lingus, following what happened yesterday, you could imagine where my mind might be at on this afternoon. But what sticks in my mind most, I mean, it's just crazy rewatching a lot of the film, and just it's validating in a lot of ways. I mean, it just felt like one offense was in complete control, and that was the one operated by the 40-plus-year-old guy who's done it forever. And one offense was, I mean, clunky, disjointed, like they're on a buggy on a back road in Kensington Square or something. That's really what it felt like. And then, obviously, when you talk about just long-term ramifications of Brian O'Neill, we'll see, and Ryan Kelly, we'll see with him. Like, those are, I mean, just gutting to anything that this team hoped to accomplish.
Yeah, a lot of conversation over the last month about this is a roster to win now, and we're trying to figure out the quarterback. Well, the health situation with this team continues to actually get worse. Where we saw a Steelers team, they're actually starting to get healthier, and they're starting to find bodies back into the mix. The A topic, or at least whether it was fan line yesterday and some of the conversation 9 to noon this morning, has kind of been the idea of when you lose a game, everything you do is wrong, everything they do is correct. And right now it's really about, it feels like from Vikings fans, it's just kind of like, why can't we do what Rodgers was doing yesterday? Why can't we adjust, play a quicker offense? We know the offensive line is a disaster, but why can't we get the ball out more quickly? You play around with that mentally at all in terms of because my factor into the Browns game and moving forward. Now it's time for us to see how Kevin O'Connell adjusts to the reality of the health situation with his team.
Yeah, I mean, two things come to mind. First, I anybody who's thinks there's just no quick game at all, and I've talked about this a lot over the last few weeks and such. Like, all you got to do is go watch the first drive again, and it's a lot of stick routes, option routes. So it was a lot of quick passes early, and then I think as you see later on with some of the success, that stuff was there too. To play that style of game, though. Like, I think it's really important that, Aaron Rodgers mentally is at a different level. It's why he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And quick passing requires a couple things. It requires, the utmost precision from the quarterback in terms of what they see, where they throw it, and then just their footwork in general. So you're asking a lot of the quarterback, and then you're asking a lot of receivers these receivers, while Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson are special in every regard, like their best strengths are not winning at the line of scrimmage. It's a lot of downfield striding, deking you with certain angles. And so I think a lot of the personnel, quarterback, receiver specific, and I mean tight end for that matter, it doesn't really lend itself a ton to the quick passing game. But there's no question, facing the Browns, facing the Eagles, with the offensive line that the Vikings have right now, like, if you're not throwing, if it's long developing routes, it's a problem. Now the real problem is, if you're not going to be efficient on early downs, you're going to be in long downs on third down, and you're going to have to protect. And so it's almost, with the offensive line injuries, it's a double whammy, because it crushes you on early downs, which crushes you on late downs. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer guy, but it's just kind of the reality.
Yeah. Defensively, we kind of saw a bit of what was problematic in the Falcons game, just tackling. And Steelers are a physical bunch, there's no doubt about it. But it just kind of stood out to me. And DK is tough to bring down. I get it. They have like this 8-foot tall tight end, the Washington cat that they kept finding, who's impossible to walk down. It's basically, it's like Parker Fox with my body type. I mean, how do you tackle that guy? The idea here is tackling, it seemed like, was a problem.
Yeah, I'd say tackling, and then, I mean, look, the Vikings last year, in the last 2 years, they've been phenomenal in run defense. Why? Because they had Harrison Phillips and Jonathan Bullard, who never gave you enough from a pass rush perspective. But, I think many times over the last few years, it's like, appreciate a little bit some of the way these guys can eat up gaps and make it easier for the linebackers to flow. Eric Wilson's given some great, run early in the season in a spot that, this team did not expect him to be in. But it also proves to me just how much you cover if you have Blake Cashman, if you have Andrew Van Ginkel. Like, those guys just make things right in a lot of ways, a lot of times. But I came out of yesterday thinking, like, if I'm an opposing team and I line up against the Vikings on Sunday, I'm trying to run the ball into the teeth until they prove they can stop it. And that's really where this thing is at. I mean, look, we've talked, you and I, for months now about a lot of the off-season signings, and the major, I guess, caveat to the excitement that was warranted around Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen was these guys, they're older in their career. They're 30 plus. They've had injury histories. And so the other aspect that I think we all have to think about long term is, like, what is the wear down effect of how much these guys are giving right now? It's another aspect of this that has to be talked about, I think.
Last thing for you, and then I'll let you go, and hoping maybe we can catch up again later in the week once we reset to the Browns at Tottenham Sunday morning in London. What's fresh on the plate via The Athletic? What's on the hot plate that will be released, that will be fed to the masses, that maybe offers a little bit of optimism or some perspective post Steelers, pre Browns? What are you writing up over there?
Yeah, really, I came away from yesterday, and I didn't think Aaron Rodgers, I didn't think it was like the greatest game ever, but I thought from what he was able to do, for me, it was another lesson in, as we evaluate J.J. McCarthy the rest of this year, moving forward, like, the qualities you have to have. And Kevin O'Connell has talked about this publicly. It is accuracy, and it is decisiveness, cognitive ability, field vision. And so, however the Vikings approach this, I really think, as we all look at it from the outside, it's the assessment of those things that will lead you to either have faith that this is the guy for the long term or not. If he, those are the qualities that don't stand out at the combine. It becomes silly for me. I cover the league. Like, you just watch how people talk about these quarterbacks, amazing arm strength, athleticism. It's like, if you can't be accurate and you can't see the field and be decisive, it's just not going to work. And so I think yesterday, as brutal as it was, like, Aaron Rodgers gave that reminder to the kid on the other side of the field and to the staff on the other side of the field that ensuring that those qualities are there are of the utmost importance. So that's in my mind for now.
I appreciate it. Enjoy your time in London. We'll text and talk more than people know, and maybe catch up with you later this week. All right?
Of course, anytime. I told Brett I'll get him a shirt at Tottenham or something after he had to endure the Cowboys and George Pickens.
Thank you.
But no, thank you.
All right, the tie. All right, see you later, Alec. Appreciate it. That's Alec Lewis of The Athletic, theathletic.com. PJ Fleck is next, 9 to noon. Welcome back, 9 to noon, Nordowin for PA. Parker Fox here in studio with me. We're going to dig into all sorts of topics at the beginning of the 11 a.m. hour, but joining us now, head coach, Golden Gophers football, PJ Fleck, fresh off that victory over the weekend against Rutgers, looking at the Buckeyes moving forward. But first and foremost, really appreciate the time as always, Coach, and congratulations on that win Saturday.
Yeah, Nordo, appreciate you having us on. As always, I thought our guys showed a lot of courage, a lot of fight and response all night. You know, I mean, it didn't go well for us early, and being down 14 points, I mean, that's a tough position to be in, and being at your, inside your own 20 and to start the third drive, being down 14 points. I thought our guys showed a lot of courage and a lot of fight. And that was the whole word of the week, was we're going to have to be really courageous to get better at the fundamentals in the bye week, clean up a lot of stuff from Cal. And I thought we did a good job of that, and found a way to score a few more points in them at the final whistle. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, and not just myself, but Golden Gophers fans, I imagine you're pretty excited as well. The performance of your QB on Saturday, PJ, I don't need to tell you this, but the efficiency, the accuracy, goes for 324 and 3 touchdowns. You know, when you get into one of those battles where it's last score wins type of vibe to the environment, and you got a guy like Drake playing the way he was playing, that's got to feel pretty good.
It does feel good because, I know how young he is and how competitive he is and how hungry he is, but he's not willing to skip steps. And I think that's what's so fun about coaching him, is he's very mature for his age. He processes things at a very high level, very similar to Max Brosmer, and he should, because he learned from Max. But he's not a guy who wants to skip steps. He wants to grow. He wants to learn. And it doesn't guarantee us anything. It doesn't guarantee him anything that he's going to continue to throw for 330 yards a game. But what it does is gives you proof. And then you go back and you continue to get better at the things you need to get better at. But we don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in an ideal world, especially playing quarterback. We live in a realistic world, and I think he does too. But when your best players are your hardest workers, and they happen to be pretty young players, that gives you an advantage. But when you do have two of your best players out on offense, everybody else will step up their game. And I thought our guys and our supporting cast did a really good job of doing that around Drake, whether it was Jalen Smith or Lemeke Brockington or Logan Loya or Jamison Gears or Drew Bibber. A lot of people caught balls, and I think that's what this offense is going to have to be. It's going to have to be a lot of people contributing to the offense for it to have success.
And I say this more of a fan and an outsider, of course, PJ, but I just picture the way watching your offense over the course of nearly a decade now. In most cases, you'd like to have a little more success on the ground. And the confidence you must have in Drake, and these games are all in a vacuum, right? One game, 1 week at a time, et cetera. But the idea that you had some trouble finding yardage on the ground, just 38 in total, but specifically in the first half, it's like, I'm going to have to win this with Drake. I'm going to have to win this with Jalen Smith and Lemeke, as you were mentioning some of those names that came up so big on Saturday. The confidence that you can have in that offense and in Drake, where if it's not working in the run game, I can air it out a little bit, and I trust that my guys will step up and make those plays like you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they get scholarships, they have NIL, they have portal, they have a salary cap like we do. Everybody in the Big Ten does, just like the NFL. Anybody has a chance to win every single Saturday. So for us, I mean, you've got to be a balanced offense. And the way I define balance is not 50-50 run pass. It's, do you have what it takes? If somebody takes something away, are you balanced enough to win in a different way? Because at the end of the day, stats are for losers. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your stats are. Did you win? Did you lose? At the end of the day, that's how we get judged. But how you win and lose really matters to me. So if we had to abandon our run game a little bit earlier than expected, and it didn't go that way, do you have the confidence and do you have the ability to win it in the pass game? That's balance. And I think that our team's learning how to do that. And we're showing a lot of courage that way. It wasn't like we didn't want to get away from the run game. We wanted to run the ball. And I thought we ran the ball at times really effectively with Feme and Cam. But at the end of the day, you're down 14 points. You're inside your own 20, and you better get moving. It's almost the second quarter. So we better get moving. And or this game could turn into 21-0, and the next thing you know, you're down 3 scores. So it's very hard to be down 14 points and come back the way we did. And it was going to take everybody to do it, offense, defense, and special teams. And there was a lot of plays that allowed that to happen.
Hey, Coach, Parker Fox here. The media put some question marks on your offensive line coming into the season, and a guy that I wanted to highlight who's a non-skilled guy is your center, Ashton Beers. He's only allowed 1 pressure in 131 pass blocking snaps. That ranks him second among centers across the nation. What does it mean to have a guy that has the ball in his hands every single possession like your center, Ashton Beers, and how excellent has he been for your football team this year?
Well, if the ball's the program, right, is what we believe in, then whoever touches the ball has the whole program in their hands, and he touches it every single play, and so does Drake. Those are the two guys who touch it every single play. So they have to respect the ball, and you have to trust them with the ball. Ashton is incredibly intelligent, off the charts intelligent, and so is Drake. So when you have two guys touching the ball every single play, they're both really smart, they're both really tough, and I think Ashton does a really good job when the picture changes of allowing everybody to be aligned and knowing what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. He's a really good communicator. Off the field, he's very quiet, but on the field, does a really good job of communicating and processing information, and he is tough as nails. You're talking about one of the toughest guys I've coached. And, he's bigger than what people think he is. A lot of centers are a little shorter, a little stockier. He's not. He's big, he's long, but he can bend, and he's a really good athlete. So we're just really thankful we have him, and he's really set the tone for the whole line of what type of offensive line we need to be as we continue to grow throughout the season, because the challenges just continue to keep coming at you.
Time for one or two more with Golden Gopher head coach PJ Fleck. And, off the bye, a little bit of a pause. We're excited to see this first game of the Big Ten season in earnest. And chatting with Mike Grimm throughout the week, just people really pumped to see Coy Parrich's performance from Saturday, to see how he would respond. And, man, that hit stick he put on Athan, the tackles, the game that he had, the punt return or kick return, his game, let's just say he responded, didn't he?
Well, he definitely did. And, I think anytime you're a high-profile player and you're a playmaker and you're kind of one of the faces of the program, you're going to be under the most criticism and scrutiny. And, again, we live in this perfection world in the media, and I get that. And from a fan standpoint, it's an idealistic and perfect performance-type mindset. And when it's not, the sky's going to fall, and the pressure is going to get higher. Much is earned, much is expected. And when you're a high-profile player, you're going to get more of the criticism. And I thought he handled it really, really well, and he processed it really well. And we're talking about a guy who hasn't failed a lot in his life at the things that he's done, because he's always been the best player. And this was probably some of the most adverse situations he's faced. And to watch him respond, he did it a lot internally, handled it his own way, but come out and play the game that he did shows a lot about Coy. And I said this in my press conference. The one guy I wasn't worried about was Coy, because I know the type of competitor he is, and he's going to make it right. Again, he's never going to make it perfect. None of our players are going to make it perfect. None of our coaches are going to make it perfect. But what I loved about it was he had an incredible week of practice, incredible response with his teammates, and a tremendous accountability. And when you have that, you have a really good teammate and a really good player. And I think your teammates respect that. And we know what kind of player he is, and I thought he showed that.
Last thing for you. Next up, best team in the land. PJ, you know this. It's prime time. It's Saturday at the Shoe, the Buckeyes, the whole thing. What pumps you up in games when you get the chance to see your squad against college football among the best in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, they're the defending national champs for a reason. This could, Ryan Day has publicly said that, this is a really good football team. And I think some reporters in his press conference talked about, statistically looking at what they're doing. It could be one of his best teams ever. And when you watch the film, I mean, it seems to match those statistics, and it seems to match that type of opinion, because they're very, very talented at every position, offense, defense, and special teams. They play at a really high level. They just played a really good Washington team all the way on the West Coast and gave up 6 points, which is technically above average scoring against them, because they're only giving up 5 points a game. So that's above average what Washington just did. And when you're having that team dominate that way, it's a tremendous challenge for us. Our margin for error is going to be really, really small. We have to have a great week of practice. We've got to be really locked into our fundamentals and details and play our best game of the year, which doesn't matter necessarily who we play, because that's going to be the expectation any week. But we do know the challenge that we have. It's our first night game in 3 years. We know that the fans have been calling for that. So we know what kind of rowdy environment that's going to be. And we'll do all we can to prepare ourselves for it and respect what they've done. They're a really good football team, but it's a great opportunity for us to go out and play one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country, and go out and execute the way that we would expect us to.
Thanks, as always, for giving us time, 9 to noon, Coach. Good luck this week. Excited to hear from you next Monday.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Roll the boat, Sky Mile, go Gophers, and Skull Vikes. Thanks.
Thank you. That's PJ Fleck, head coach, Golden Gophers football. Parker Fox in studio. That was a fun one on Saturday.
It was. Even my dad, we were talking about it kind of after the game. probably one of the most fun Gopher football games I've watched in a long time. Just getting the ball down the field, over 500 passing yards from the quarterbacks, 5 touchdowns. Like, you could just see the excitement on, each guy's face, and then the excitement on PJ's face to kind of come out with that one. He even said after the game, like, that one would have went back and forth. We played for the next 10 hours. And it's true. It really would have. It was one of those games where both teams were evenly matched. And fortunately, our Gophers came out on top.
He's asked about it, and he always kind of stiff arms it, but it's like you can't let Ethan come into the house and get the W, right?
No.
I mean, it's and they beat Rutgers beat the Gophers a year ago, but it's kind of you make the decision to move on to Brosmer, and then Brosmer is the one and done. Now into Drake, and you're so excited about the growth and development of him. For PJ to actually watch the new guy outduel the old guy, PJ's on cloud 9 right now. We couldn't have dealt with a loss on Saturday.
No, and he's never going to answer that question, right? That's a lose-lose question for him to answer. But
and Shiraka's over there too.
Yeah, totally. But at the end of the day, the cliche as answer is, we're trying to go 1-0 every week, the whole deal. But there's added fuel to the fire. You have guys on your roster that were in the same locker room as Ethan. They were in the same training room, in the same cafeteria, like guys that spent time with him. They know his game, and they know how much of a competitor Ethan is. But we have a competitor in Drake Lindsay on our side as well, and he came out on top victorious and gave the Gophers a 1-0 victory that week.
So the reason, and maybe I guess just I'm not a good reporter. So last week, PJ joins out of the bye. We're ready to party. Let's go beat Rutgers. Mm-hmm. And PA asks PJ about Darius Taylor and the health situation. Classic. It's depth chart that's released a couple hours before the game, and that's all he's going to say. That is actually why I did not ask.
Totally.
Because I frankly shouldn't say I'm not interested in the same. I know I would have gotten the exact same answer.
Yeah.
It is kind of worrisome, though. I think it was 2 years ago he missed 6 or 7 games. Mm-hmm. And now we're kind of seeing this. He didn't even warm up, I don't believe, with the other running backs prior to the game. So potentially not close, or at least very tenuous. Yeah. And you can go into the shoe fully healthy. The fact of the matter is, Buckeyes heavily favored in any environment.
Yeah.
With the state of our two respective programs. But man, I mean, as good as Drake Lindsay was, as maybe this is a launch point for him in the long term. Not having Darius Taylor, it's not going to work with this rushing attack and a coach that wants to run the hell out of the ball.
No, I wish I could be an inside source and, dive in and reach out. And I could even text Darius. He's not going to tell me the answer. You know what I mean?
Well, does your key card still work?
The key card works, but you're not going to get any information out of those guys.
Probably not.
They follow suit just like PJ has them. But I think at the end of the day, you got to be proud of the effort you put on the field this week. But I think you're right, Nordo. Without Darius Taylor out of the backfield, it's going to be tough to go into the horseshoe and compete with Ohio State. Now, they're running back by committee, right? That's going to be their answer. That's going to be what they say. They're running back by committee. This is how they do things. Their next man up mentality. But Darius Taylor's a true star, and he's a difference maker. And I think if you want to try to go on the road and beat the number one team in the country, you have to establish your run game early. And that's something without Taylor, it's going to be difficult to do. But the Gophers are riding a high after this win over Rutgers. So you got to keep that energy high, and you got to go in there with a fighting chance.
I just wonder, it's so, the way PJ has taken this route.
Yeah.
You're kind of resetting at the quarterback spot year after year. Yeah. You've done that now effectively 3 years in a row, and you're hoping, and by all accounts, I think Drake can stick around here and have himself a nice career in maroon and gold. But just kind of resetting the clock, then you try to set expectations as part of that, re-gearing the offensive line and the running back. I need Darius to be healthy. Let's get Darius healthy. This is a high-ender right here. But you just kind of look at things. It's like a 3-1, how much that Cal loss kind of hurts. And from a global perspective, PJ's week to week. PJ wants to win as many games. He's going to do everything he can the right way. But I'm just looking, it's like, it might not go well on Saturday at the shoe. Okay. Let's just pretend for sake, just hypothetically that the Ohio State Buckeyes beat Minnesota. If you handle your home, is it enough from a fan perspective to handle your home games? That gets you to 7, beat Northwestern on the road, and maybe steal one at Kinnick. I mean, even if it's as ugly as the 12-10 bit and the fair catch bit,
which it will be,
Cooper DeJean, because it always is that ugly at Kinnick.
No doubt.
But it's like, can you get to 8? Can you get to 9? Yeah. I mean, I just wonder where the expectations sit for a program like this, where you got a conference that's continuing to build.
Yeah.
Even the coach, whether he wants to go long form on it or not, continues to mention the cap, continues to mention NIL. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like in some ways you could almost say under the covers of darkness that he's saying that other teams may have advantages in that particular area.
Which they do.
And I just wonder globally what the expectation should be as you round out this schedule. Again, handle the things at Huntington Bank Stadium. That gets you to 7 alone. Take Northwestern on the shores of Lake Michigan, where like 300 people show up to games. And then maybe steal one at Kinnick, you're a 9-win team. Does that make Gopher fans happy as maybe you're even flirting with the idea of nicer bowls, et cetera?
Yeah, I always think about this conversation from more of a fan perspective than a quote-unquote media perspective. Right. Being a long-term Gopher fan, you kind of go into every year and you say, what's the goal of this team, right? And now there's a 12-team college football playoffs. You're like, okay, if we win every game at home, if we, get half of them on the road, is there a way we can sneak into that college football playoff? Well, probably not. Okay. So then kind of you got to reevaluate.
If it's 16, though.
Maybe if it's 16, right? So then you kind of got to reevaluate and you tell yourself, okay, we've, consistently over the past couple of years have found a way to get to that 8-9 win range, right? Can we continue to do that? Can we maybe find one more? Can we get to double-digit wins? Can we maybe play in a New Year's Six bowl instead of one of these kind of gimme bowls? And I'm not saying the Gophers have been in any gimme bowl. You got to give them credit. They think they've won 5 or 6 straight, which is just incredible as it is with all the movement.
BJ wins bowl games
through bowl games, no doubt. So I think from a fan perspective, I always think what kind of bowl game can you get yourself into, right? Like, is there another kind of echelon of bowl games that you can get yourself into? And does that qualify a successful season? For me, it does. I think that the college football playoff it's kind of out there, especially when you have to go to Oregon, you have to go to Ohio State, you have to play these teams that are, as difficult as it is already. But can you get into a more quality bowl game that gets the fans more excited to sit down and watch?
I dig that. Well, what we're going to do, we took this segment a little bit late. We're going to refresh things, reset things. We're going to pause, come back, kick off the 11 a.m. hour, handling the glitz and glamour of your Gophers, besting, again, the hit that Coy Parrish put on Athan on Saturday was
my goodness,
sweet. And the shootout that it was, our guy coming out on top was awesome. The other end of this particular spectrum happens to be at Croke Park in Ireland, a game that took place yesterday. You know what? It was kegs and eggs, and you had a training schedule and all these things to get ready for. You ended up taking all that off to watch that game, and you watched what unfolded. We're going to hear from what Parker Fox's perspective is seeing as we look back at yesterday's loss in Ireland, look ahead to the Browns, the malaise of injury, taking and capturing our favorite football team at the pro ranks. Final hour ahead. It's Nordowin for PA, 9 to noon.